She was standing alone in the glass-walled conference room when I first realized I was in trouble. Not the kind of trouble that ruins careers or empties bank accounts. The kind that sneaks into your chest, settles behind your ribs, and refuses to leave. The kind that makes you question everything you once believed about love, timing, and age. My CEO was known for being untouchable, intimidating, and too old for romance, at least according to the whispers that followed her down every hallway. So why did my heart betray me the moment I saw her wipe away a tear when she thought no one was looking? Before we go any further, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and love that defies expectations, take a second to like this video, comment your thoughts, share it with someone who needs to hear this, and subscribe to the channel. Stories like this deserve to be felt by as many hearts as possible. Her name was Mira Khanna, and she was 48 when I joined the company at 28. A 20-year gap that the world would never let me forget. She had built the tech firm from scratch after her husband passed away 15 years earlier. People admired her resilience but pitied her solitude. The media called her the Iron Widow of innovation. Employees respected her but kept their distance. She wore tailored suits like armor and carried silence like a shield. Rumor had it that she hadn't dated since her husband's funeral. Rumor also had it that she didn't believe in love anymore. I believed those rumors at first. I was just a mid-level marketing strategist trying to survive corporate life. My own love life was a series of half-hearted relationships that fizzled out because I was too busy chasing promotions. I thought I understood ambition. I thought I respected independence, but I had never seen either embodied so fiercely until I saw her. The first time she spoke to me directly was during a presentation I had prepared for a new product launch. My hands were shaking, my slides slightly out of order, and my voice threatened to crack. She listened without interrupting, her dark eyes steady and unreadable. When I finished, expecting a polite dismissal, she surprised me. She asked thoughtful questions. She challenged my assumptions. And then she told me I had potential if I learned to trust my instincts instead of seeking approval. That moment changed something in me. Not because she praised me, but because she saw me, truly saw me. It had been years since anyone looked at me without trying to measure what they could gain from me. Her approval wasn't flirtatious or manipulative. It was honest, and honesty is dangerously attractive. Over the next few months, I found myself staying late at the office, volunteering for projects that would bring me closer to her orbit. She was always the last to leave, lights glowing in her corner office long after everyone else had gone home. Sometimes I'd catch a glimpse of her through the glass walls, staring at an old photograph she kept in her drawer. A younger version of her, smiling beside a man whose arm was wrapped around her shoulders. The grief in her eyes when she looked at that picture was raw, even after all those years. One rainy evening, the power flickered during a storm, and most of the staff rushed out early. I stayed behind to finish a campaign proposal. As I walked past her office, I noticed the door slightly ajar. She was standing by the window, watching the rain streak down the glass. Without thinking, I stepped inside. She didn't scold me for intruding. She simply said the rain always reminded her of the night her husband proposed to her. It was the first personal thing she had ever shared at work. That night, I learned that grief doesn't disappear, it just becomes quieter. She told me how she buried herself in work because it was easier than sitting alone in a silent house. She confessed that people assumed she was strong, but strength was just the only option she had left. Listening to her felt intimate in a way I couldn't explain. I didn't see a powerful CEO. I saw a woman who had loved deeply and lost brutally. From that day on, our conversations became more frequent, always professional on the surface, but layered with something warmer underneath. We talked about books, about travel, about the fear of wasting your life pretending you don't need anyone. I began to realize how unfair the label too old was. Too old for what? For feeling? For dreaming? For wanting to be held again? The office gossip started subtly. A raised eyebrow here, a whisper there. People noticed how often I was called into her office. They noticed how she defended my ideas during board meetings. One colleague joked that I had found myself a sugar mama. I laughed it off, but the words stung. Was that how the world would see us? A cliché? A scandal? The real conflict began when I acknowledged my feelings to myself. I tried dating women my age, hoping the attraction to Mira was just admiration mixed with proximity. But every dinner felt hollow. Every conversation felt forced. My mind kept drifting back to the quiet intensity in her eyes, to the way she listened like your words mattered. One night after a company gala, she asked me to stay behind to review some last-minute figures. The ballroom had emptied, leaving behind half-deflated balloons and the faint scent of perfume. She looked tired in a way I had never seen before. The spotlight of leadership had worn her down. For a moment, the distance between CEO and employee disappeared. We were just two people standing in a room that suddenly felt too small to contain what was building between us. I told her that I admired her, not just as a leader, but as a woman. I admitted that being around her made me want to be better, braver. I expected her to shut me down immediately. Instead, she closed her eyes, as if absorbing the weight of my confession. When she finally spoke, she said she was too old for complicated emotions and too experienced to risk heartbreak again. Her rejection wasn't cruel. It was protective. She reminded me of the age gap, the power dynamic, the scrutiny we would face. She said I deserved someone who could give me children, spontaneity, a future unshadowed by past grief. She told me that loving her would mean accepting that part of her heart would always belong to someone who wasn't here anymore. I left that night feeling both shattered and determined. For weeks, we returned to strict professionalism. No lingering conversations. No shared late-night coffees. The distance hurt more than I expected. It was like losing something I never officially had. But life has a way of testing what you claim to want. A few months later, a competitor launched a hostile takeover attempt. The company she had built from nothing was at risk. I watched her fight with relentless focus, attending endless meetings, negotiating with investors, refusing to show weakness. Yet I could see the exhaustion carving deeper lines into her face. During one particularly brutal week, she collapsed in her office from sheer fatigue. It wasn't dramatic, just a quiet, terrifying moment where her body finally protested what her heart had endured for years. I was the one who found her. Sitting beside her hospital bed later, I realized how fragile even the strongest people are. In that sterile hospital room, stripped of titles and expectations, she looked smaller, human, vulnerable. She confessed that she was tired of being strong all the time, tired of pretending she didn't miss being loved, tired of living as if her life had ended the day her husband's did. I told her that love doesn't expire at a certain age. It doesn't check birth certificates. It doesn't disappear because society feels uncomfortable. I told her that I wasn't trying to replace her past. I was asking to be part of her future. The weeks that followed were slow and cautious. She insisted on transparency with the board to avoid any ethical conflicts. I was reassigned to a different department to eliminate direct reporting lines. We faced whispers, judgment, and more than one uncomfortable HR meeting. But something surprising happened. When people saw how gently we treated each other, how respectfully we navigated the situation, the gossip began to fade. Our relationship wasn't built on impulse. It was built on conversations at midnight about fear. On mornings where she let herself laugh without worrying about who was watching. On quiet dinners where she spoke about her late husband not with tears, but with gratitude. I never asked her to forget him. Loving her meant honoring the love that shaped her before me. The biggest challenge wasn't the world. It was her own doubt. She struggled with feeling undeserving of happiness. She worried about being judged for robbing me of youth. There were nights she tried to push me away, convinced that I would regret choosing her. Each time, I chose to stay. The day the takeover attempt officially failed and the company stabilized, she stood in front of the entire staff and gave a speech about resilience. But when her eyes found mine in the crowd, I knew that resilience wasn't just about business. It was about allowing herself to love again. Years from now, people might still question our story. They might still calculate the age difference before they measure the depth of our connection. But I have learned that love is not about matching numbers. It is about matching courage. If this story has touched your heart so far, take a moment to comment and tell me where you're watching from. And before we reach the end, I have one special request. Comment the word timeless if you believe love has no expiration date. Today, when I watch her walk through the office, she no longer looks like the Iron Widow. She looks alive. She laughs more. She takes vacations without checking her email every hour. She lets herself lean on me when the world feels heavy, and I lean on her too. Because love, real love, is not about rescuing someone. It's about standing beside them when they decide to rescue themselves. If this story moved you, if it made you believe in second chances or rethink what love is supposed to look like, please like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, and subscribe to the channel. Your support keeps stories like this alive. My CEO was never too old for love. She was just waiting for someone brave enough to love her out loud. And I was waiting to become brave enough to choose a love that the world didn't immediately understand. In the end, it wasn't about age. It was about timing. And for us, the timing was finally right.